Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, has declared a 3-day ceasefire with Ukraine from May 8th to May 10th to mark 80 years since the World War II victory, which is known as the Victory Day celebrations. Now, this is a very significant step in over 3 years of conflict between both these countries. According to a statement published by the Kremlin, the ceasefire, which was declared out of humanitarian considerations, will begin at the midnight of May 8th and will last until midnight of May 11th. All military operations will be suspended during this period. The statement has also said Russia believes the Ukrainian side should follow this example. In the event of ceasefire violations by Ukraine, the armed forces of Russian Federation will respond appropriately and effectively. Moscow also said it reaffirms the readiness for peace negotiations without preconditions aimed at addressing the root cause of the Ukrainian crisis and engaging in constructive with international partners. There was no immediate comment from the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, or the official channels from Ukraine. Let me go across to my colleague Mohammad Ghazali, who is joining us with more details at this moment. Mohammad Ghazali, what does this mean? Put it in context, because there have been the Trump administration, which is the mediating between Russia and Ukraine, wanting and pushing Russia to announce some sort of a ceasefire. Is this 3-day ceasefire seen as a positive beginning?
Yeah, certainly, because this comes just a few days after Mr. Putin met Steve Witkoff, the special envoy of United States Trump administration, who has been negotiating between U.S. And Russia, as well as between Russia and Ukraine. And this comes as a positive development, because even the Trump administration seems to be very frustrated, because both the parties are not showing any signs of ceasefire. And Russia has also sent out a message. Vladimir Putin, since announcing this a pause in the war, a 3-day pause from 8th May to 11th of May, has somewhat suggested that perhaps Russia is one of the players in this entire conflict, which is looking for peace. And that is why he has unilaterally announced this. And a response from Ukraine is also awaited, while Russia has also said that with the announcement of this ceasefire, the second para of the statement issued by Kremlin says that if Ukraine sort of violates this ceasefire, then they will face action. So we saw that even in earlier weeks, a similar ceasefire or a truce was announced between the two parties with the mediation of the United States. And on that previous occasion, both Russia and Ukraine had sort of accused each other of violating it. So we'll have to see whether this one remains peaceful. Because...
All right. Ghazali, thank you for joining us. Let's get more perspective from Dimitri Symes Jr., head of Sputnik International, who's joining us at this moment. Dimitri, thank you for speaking to NDTV. Let me start by asking you, what does this peace offering or this ceasefire mean as far as the current conflict is concerned? Should this be seen as a significant step towards restoring peace?
Well, that will depend on how the Ukrainians respond, because for your viewers, I want to provide some background, because this is not the first time that Russia has offered short-term temporary ceasefires, in relation to significant holidays. Just a couple of weeks ago, in fact, just last week, Russia offered several-day ceasefire with Ukraine, also unilateral, in conjunction with Orthodox Christian Easter. The Ukrainians responded by violating the ceasefire nearly 5,000 times in the span of a few days. So, again, I think that Russia wants to take a step towards peace, but we're very well aware that the Ukrainians don't share our desire. And in fact, just a few minutes ago, the spokesperson for the Ukrainian leader, Zelensky, said that they won't be accepting this ceasefire unless, quote, quote, it's unconditional. Now, it doesn't make much sense what exactly they're trying to say, because a unilateral ceasefire is by default unconditional. So,
what you're saying also brings a sense of the mistrust between both these countries, between Russia and Ukraine, after more than 3 years of being at war. But how does this now, at least this attempt, this offer of ceasefire by Russia, how does this work in the larger negotiations where America is mediating?
Well, I think that, first of all, this is meant to demonstrate that Russia is willing to take a chance at peace. This week, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that Russia is prepared to hold unconditional peace negotiations with Ukraine, that there are no preconditions for Russia to begin peace talks with Ukraine. And this is something that we've also stressed to the Trump administration, that despite all the difficulties, despite all the animosity that's built up, Russia is willing to give peace a chance. So now the ball is in Zelensky's court and the ball is in Trump's court. Will they take up this opportunity, or will things return to the status quo?
Dmitry, thank you for speaking to us. The hope of not just Russia and Ukraine, but across the world, that this ceasefire begins as the first step of peace between both the countries. Thank you for putting things in perspective for our viewers in India.